Good morning. Looking chipper, awake, alert, and ready to make a video. Hello, internets. This is Olin from What I'm Listening To. I hope you all are continuing to stay safe, stay healthy, keeping those hands nice and clean, and making sure your cat is well fed. She's eating kibble right now. I don't know if the audio can pick that up, but she's eating. It is currently Sunday, November 28th, 2021. Happy post-Thanksgiving, happy post-Black Friday, and I guess at this point, happy holidays. As you all probably noticed, I didn't post a video last week because I decided to take the week off. It was Thanksgiving week, and I had to work Black Friday, and I just didn't feel like rushing something out. So I decided, you don't need to. Take the week off. You deserve it. But now I'm back, and I have some new additions to show off. In fact, I have unearthed the legendary new editions LUNCHBOX that I kind of forgot that I had and was incorporating in the videos, but here it is in all its glory. And inside are the oodles of new CDs I've added to the collection. There's kind of a lot, so this might end up being a new video, but consider it a making up for not posting something last week. It's almost like 2 videos in one. But yeah, let's open up this here box and talk about the contents inside. And the first CD I have for you today, I have the Flaming Lips Soft Bulletin Companion album. I remember when this actually came out. This was, I think, Record Store Day, one of the 2-3 Record Store Days we had this year, and I thought it was interesting because I do like the Flaming Lips, but not enough to actually buy a copy of it. But my girlfriend, who's also a fan of the band, stumbled across this at Amoeba and was like, I want it, buy it for me. So I did, because, well, I'm the CD guy, and I buy CDs, so I figured, let's buy my girlfriend some CDs. But I'm actually interested in listening to this one myself, because not only does it have material from Soft Bulletin, it has stereo version of their album Zaireeka, which is that crazy 5-disc album they release where you're supposed to play all 5 discs at the same time, as well as other unreleased stuff from the era, handmade promo compilation, Soft Bulletin outtakes. Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested just hearing all this material. The Soft Bulletin is just such an amazing album. It shows the band stepping away from that crazy noise punk stuff they were doing in the early days and more into that fantasy, extravagant sounding stuff they're doing today. So this should be a great listen. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I still have yet to open it from the saran wrap, as you can see, but I'm gonna let my girlfriend do that so she can get the satisfaction. Next up, I have another new album. This is Joan as Policewoman's newest album, Solution is Restless. I've only known about this project by name, but never actually listened to Joan until now. My coworker Donnell is actually a big fan of this project. In fact, he's the reason why I bought this CD. But he was listening to this in the back, and I couldn't help but to just stick around and listen to a couple of the songs because I was really digging it. It kind of reminded me of something that St. Vincent would do, just very lush, artsy sounding pop music. And also drummer Tony Allen is on this record, who is sadly no longer with us, but man, he was a legend in the Afro-Cuban world. And now that I'm looking, there's a thank you to a Damon, which I'm curious is Damon Albarn, so I'm wondering if he was involved in this record. Let's take a look here. Joan as Police Woman, Solution is Restless. Gotta find the source here. Okay, so it looks like he is involved in the album, but he's just a feature on one of the tracks. So that's still pretty cool. Yeah, anyways, I'm excited to dive into this album. I haven't heard all of it just yet, only a couple of the songs, but really, really liked what I heard, and yeah, this one should be a great listen.
Take me to your leader, 'cause I'm ready to play. Can't hold my breath any longer. Burn on the street, she's a healer.
Next up, I have the most recent release of Emma Ruth Rundle. This is her album, Engine of Hell. I love Emma's music so much. In fact, I must have talked about her in another video at some point, but in case I haven't, I heard her solo work and just went all in. I bought every single solo album of hers, and then even bought her album and EP when she was in the band Marriages. Fantastic shoegaze post-rock band. This is an interesting album because unlike the previous releases where it's more band-oriented, this is much more stripped back. It's just piano, and I believe there's an acoustic guitar in there, and her vocals. But despite this change of sound, the music still sounds as dark as her previous releases. Her vocals still sound like she's singing in agony, like she's in pain or is just on the verge of tears. And overall, it's just a beautiful, beautiful album. Anybody who's a fan of Emma Ruth Rundle should absolutely check this album out. So very good. Definitely a highlight of 2021. Also, I gotta shout out Sargent House because they're a fantastic label and they put this album out. So yeah, kudos to you guys for releasing amazing music.
I have a feeling that I might be here a while.
Next up, we got some experimental music. I have Yellow Swans' Live During War Crimes. I have definitely talked about Yellow Swans in the past. They are easily one of my favorite experimental bands around. And it's kind of reached the point where anytime I find something by this band, I will inevitably buy it because some of it is just so freaking hard to get copies of. You gotta love when experimental bands release like 100 CDR copies of one album and that's it. I stumbled across this in our rock clearance section for whatever reason, but the moment I saw it was the Yellow Swans, I knew I had to buy it because, well, I love that band and it's only $1, so why the hell not? It is a live album, which sometimes I'm a little wary of because I don't often gravitate towards live albums, but still interested in listening to us. Like I said, it was only $1, so, you know, I figured I'll take that gamble. So yeah, this should be an interesting listen. If you haven't listened to the Yellow Swans, then highly recommend them. Be wary, they are very, very noisy, but still very, very good. Next up, we have some shoegaze here. I have Chapterhouse's album, Whirlpool. These last few days, I've just been in a major shoegaze kick, which you could probably argue I've been in a shoegaze kick since I was like 19 years old, but I digress. There are so many shoegaze albums out there, both modern stuff that's coming out today and classic stuff that I haven't even touched, and Chapterhouse is one of those classic bands. And I feel like we just don't get a lot of shoegaze CDs at Amoeba, at least lately. Our slow dive section is completely cleared out. Cocteau Twins is also cleared out for whatever reason. I'm gonna blame Miley Cyrus on that one. And yes, we have plenty of My Bloody Valentine, but that's only because they reissued all of their albums on Domino, so we only have new copies of them. So when I stumbled across this album, I just decided I had to get it. I don't really know much about the band. I just know that this particular release is considered one of the better shoegaze albums of the 90s. And this is a reissue, actually, which has a bunch of bonus tracks on it. And yeah, I'm really excited to give this one a listen. Also, you really can't go wrong with album covers that have cats on the cover. And yeah, there's a kitty taking a nap there. This should be a fun album to listen to. Very excited to check it out and zone out to some lush guitars. Okay, doing a complete 180 from shoegaze. Next up, I have a Rage Against the Machine album. This is their Live and Rare release. It's funny because I've known about this album for quite a bit of time actually, but I didn't realize that there was actually a CD copy in existence. As I mentioned earlier, I'm usually not big on live albums, and this is pretty much all live tracks save for like 2 or 3 songs here. But the main reason I bought this is because they actually do a cover of NWA's songs Fuck the Police, which at the time I listened to it as a teenager, I just thought was so cool. So buying this partly appeals to that younger self of mine, but also it's kind of a rare CD to find. You can't get this digitally anywhere, and when I was looking this up on Discogs, I was seeing people selling this for like twice the amount we were selling it for, which was $12.99. That's kind of steep for a live album, but I'm also a sucker for rare CDs, so another reason why I decided to pick it up. But doing some deeper research, it looks like this was only ever released in Japan. You can tell by the sleeve there, if my camera will focus on it. There we go. It's all in Japanese. How about that? And looking in the booklet here, I was even noticing that there's all this Japanese text. The liner notes are Japanese, and then there's the lyrics in English as well. Oh, that's actually cool. So it's Japanese lyrics and English lyrics, damn. So yeah, this one should also be an interesting listen. Haven't heard anything else off of it aside from that one song, but I'm willing to check it out. Why the hell not? It's Rage Against the Machine. I like them.
It goes from 1, 2, 3, and it's just another one track. And suckers be thinking that they can fake this, put on my drum beat at a higher level. Just all mankind just do.
Next up, I have some post-punk. This is a band called Blurt, and this is their album Blurt plus singles. Yet another CD that I was influenced in buying because we were listening to them at work, and I liked it and thought it was cool and decided I had to own it. We were listening to this post-punk compilation one day, and this crazy song called The Fish Needs a Bike came on, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. It is this crazy guitar riff that repeats itself throughout the song, and it just got me completely hooked. Naturally, I did a little bit of studying up on the band because I wanted to know more about them, and learned that they're not only a post-punk band, but they also incorporate elements of jazz. So I guess you could call them jazz rock, jazz punk, or even no wave. But either way, I really like their style. I think this cover is also really cool, and I could always use some more post-punk in my life. I'm interested in listening to this one. I've only really listened to The Fish Needs a Bike like 80 times, but the rest of the album I will eventually get to and hopefully enjoy as much as that one song. Staying slightly on the topic of post-punk, the next album I have for you today, this is Black Marble's newest released, Fast Idle. When I first started at Amoeba back in February, I was really influenced by a lot of the music I was hearing, and that's most likely because I was just excited to be there and excited to hear bands that I had never heard of before, and was just buying up a lot of stuff just from hearing one song. And one of those bands just so happened to be these guys right here. I have my coworker Michael to thank for introducing these guys to me, because every time he would pick an album to put on in store, it always blew my mind. He not only got me into this band, but he also got me into a Boris album and Cornelius's solo work. But anyways, Black Marble here is one of those bands that's doing that sort of modern cold wave, dark wave stuff that sounds like it came out of the 80s, but is completely modern. You can kind of compare them to that of Drab Majesty or Molchat Doma, but maybe a little more laid back. I was a big fan of this project's previous album, and seeing that they put out a new album, I couldn't help myself. I decided to pick it up. Once again, as you can see, it's still in its plastic wrap, so I have yet to bust into it, but I also have a lot of music that I've talked about that I still need to listen to, and stuff I haven't talked about that I still need to listen to. But at some point, I will get to this, and I will most likely enjoy it, because I could use some laid-back cold wave music in my life. Next up, I have an album by a band called Squid. Yet another album that a coworker of mine influenced me in buying. This time I have my coworker Cassidy to thank for introducing this band to me. He was actually going to see these guys play live and tried to get me to go, but I bailed because I'm an introvert and I'm awkward. But that's when he was really telling me about who they were, because I'd never heard of them initially. He was kind of saying that Squid is one of the 3 bands that are doing a similar sound, the other 2 being Black Midi and Black Country New Road. In fact, actually, I have I have Black Country New Road's album right here, so I might as well just talk about them both. Unlike Squid, I actually was aware of Black Country New Road, just seeing a lot of people on music forums post about it and say how great it was, but I'd not listened to it myself. But we happen to have copies of both of these albums in stock, and considering that I'm already familiar with Black Midi, I thought, well, let's listen to the other 2 bands and see how they go. I'm actually really curious about both of these. Squid's album was released on Warp, which primarily releases electronica stuff, which maybe there might be some influence from that on here. And this is released on Ninja Tune, which I know only from A Winged Victory for the Sullen, because they released all those albums, and that's an ambient project. But either way, I'm looking forward to diving into these both. I've heard nothing but great things about them, so I'm excited to experience them. Shout out to you, Cassidy. You're the reason why I have these.
Come inside, you'll be a friend. We're satisfied. You're every need. You're circling in the cabinet and burn what's left of all the cards you kept. I'm more than adequate. Leave my daddy's job out of this.
Actually, speaking of Cassidy, I have yet another album that he got me to buy. This is a band called Magdalena Bay. This is a band I've never heard of, nor do I think I would have discovered on my own. One day we were just talking about bands we were listening to at the time, and he shared with me a song off of this record, and I was just completely blown away by it. It was just so fun, groovy, kind of psychedelic, kind of shoegaze. It kind of reminded me of Grimes a little bit, maybe like a more straightforward Grimes. I was just completely hooked upon first listen, and I was really ecstatic that we got a copy of the CD at work. So to anyone who's interested in new pop music by new artists, then this is something you should absolutely check out. Fantastic album, and I'm really interested to see where these guys go from here. Okay, next up, we're going back to the shoegaze world. I have Life's album, Sea of Worry. In line with that shoegaze kick that I've been on, I started really diving back into Life's previous albums and just remembered how much I really like them. But then there's this album, which is their most recent release, and most people consider their absolute worst. And that's the reason why I held off on listening to it for so long, because if everybody was saying it's bad, then why waste my time listening to a bad album? But my curiosity got the best of me, so I decided I'll listen to the first couple of tracks and just see how it goes. And those first couple of tracks ended up being the whole album. I really, really liked this album, and that might be a bit of a hot take for you fanboys of Have a Nice Life, but let the record show. I like this. This is a great album. I'll admit that it's a bit more straightforward compared to the previous releases, but I still enjoyed what they were doing here. But I was talking to a coworker about this album, and they were explaining the reason why they don't like it is most of the songs on here are just re-recordings of stuff they had released previously, and those initial recordings are far superior. So I guess I will have to go back and check those out myself and compare the two, but until then, I'm gonna just stick with my gut and say that I like this album a lot. I think the hate is just a bit much, but if you're interested, then I'll let you listen to it and tell me what you think. You can tell me in the comments down below if you really want to. It's a good dark shoegaze music, and I'm a fan. Okay, next up, I actually have a rare CD here. This is a EP by Kyuss and Queens of the Stone Age. I did not expect us to get a copy of this in stock, but here we are. For those of you who don't know, Kyuss was a legendary desert rock band, and it's where musician Josh Homme got his start before eventually forming Queens of the Stone Age. So this EP is basically the last recordings Kyuss ever made, and the first recordings that Queens of the Stone Age made. And Queens of the Stone Age has since exploded and is considered much more popular than that of Kyuss. But regardless, both are fantastic projects, and this was exciting to stumble across in store, and partly because I'm a collector and partly because I love both bands, I just had to buy this. I'm not even sure that this is available on any streaming services. I'd have to look into that and leave links in the description below. Regardless, I'm very excited to own this and add this to my collection, and this will most likely make an appearance in a rare and hard to find CDs video whenever I get around to making those. Who knows when that's gonna be. Alright, Internet, we are getting down to the end here, and we're just going to go back and talk about some shoegaze. The next CD I have for you today, this is The Fleeting Joys' Despondent Transponder. You have no idea how many times I had to rehearse to get that name right. Despondent Transponder. This is actually something I'm really excited to own. In the world of modern shoegaze, this album is amongst the best. The Fleeting Joys are a band from Sacramento, and they are heavily influenced by My Bloody Valentine's Loveless. And you might think that would make this album kind of boring or lame, but truly, it's a really solid album. The guitar tone is on point, the vocals are on point, completely washed out by the guitars, but still both very much on point. And this CD is a bit of a rarity. Again, sucker for rare CDs. And I found it actually on Amoeba Berkeley's Discog page, which the moment I saw a listing for, I just was like, fuck, I gotta buy this because I want it, and it's right there, so I might as well just get it. So shout out to the Berkeley Amoeba once again for carrying some amazing stuff that we just never see in San Francisco. Definitely check this band out if you are interested in shoegaze music. Like I said, this is one of the better modern day shoegaze releases. It is well worth the listen. Alright, Internet, we are down to the final CD, and we're going to end things off with shoegaze. I have for you today My Bloody Valentine's Ecstasy and Wine. This is actually a really interesting CD because it's My Bloody Valentine before they really embraced their iconic shoegaze sound. The songs on here were recorded sometime in the late 80s when they were doing a more post-punk, almost twee pop sound. In fact, this CD is actually a compilation of those songs that were recorded during those early days. And what's funny about this CD is Kevin Shields didn't want it to be released. The label Lazy Records that put this CD out did so without the band's permission, and needless to say, Kevin was pretty pissed off about that. So much so that he went out of his way to try to get any copies that were on sale off the market. He didn't want anybody to buy this. But thank God some copies made it out into the wild, because obviously we wouldn't be here talking about it right now. And it'd be a shame if this didn't get released because the material on here is just so good. It's just so interesting to hear a now legendary band in the shoegaze world in a different light. Sure, there's still noisy elements in the guitar tone, but overall the melodies, the vocals, the production, everything just sounds very different compared to the Loveless era or the MBV era or even the Isn't Anything era. And all else I can say is, it's My Bloody Valentine. Everything this band does is phenomenal. The old stuff, the new stuff, everything. well worth listening to. And for goodness sakes, if you haven't listened to anything by them, then do yourself a favor, check them out. It'll blow your mind. Alright, Internet, that does it for me. Hey, if you have any new additions you're adding to your collection, whether it's CDs, vinyl, cassettes, let me know what they are. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It'll show me the support, and I'll love your face for it. And you can also follow me on Instagram for even more music. I post a new album on there semi-frequently, talk a little bit about it, and it gives you a bit of an insight of what else is in my collection. So, thank you all so very much for watching. This is Olin from What I'm Listening To, signing out. Goodbye.